Hey guys, it is me, Tanya, founder of the TNG Designs Group Limited. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Now, today's video, we're going to be talking about how to design your book cover. Now, you're probably thinking, Tan, I don't need to know because, yeah, I'm just going to go to somebody else to do it, which is all well and good. But here's what you want to make sure that you do. You want to make sure you cover these 3 strategies, these 3 really cool tips to make sure that your designer, although they should be thinking about it, but hey, you want to make sure that you're also on top of your game so you know what to make sure that you look out for so that it stays congruent to what it is that you're about, who it is that you're actually targeting, and equally, what is it that you actually want to achieve from this book in particular. So without further ado, let's get stuck into it. However, remember to make sure you stick around to the very end because as always, I've got a really cool gift to be able to share with you. And also remember to go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel so you do not miss out on any videos that I go ahead and upload. So folks, let's get into it and let's go. So okay, as I said, we're going to be talking about how to design your book cover. Now, as I said, you don't have to be the one designing your book cover, but you do need to know these really cool 3 strategies or really 3 cool tips that we want to make sure that you're actually covering when it does come to your book so that you're not missing out on anything that you could potentially use to help elevate the awareness of your book, right? Because obviously we're trying to build up our brands here. We want to make sure that your book equally stays congruent to what that brand is about. So number 1 is making sure that your book cover, whatever the design may be, actually sticks to the theme of what your book is about. And not only that, is it actually staying congruent to what your brand is about? So your values, your beliefs, your color schemes, all that kind of stuff. Is it actually matching what your brand is about? And when it does come to the idea of a theme, for example, if you follow me on my other social media platforms, you know that I'm one of the 5 co-founders of the Queens in Business Club. And we put out at least twice a year at the moment. We're putting out books, and with our books, we literally have our themes that run throughout each of those books. And they're either based around courage, they're based around strength, they're based around so many different themes. And we want to make sure that that theme literally stays congruent to what it is that we're talking about, right? But equally, not only that, if you ever see our books, and I'll actually drop a little image right here, when you see our books, each and every one of them actually matches the theme of our brand, the color scheme of our brand, in fact. So there's always going to be pinks involved. There's always going to be each and every one of the co-founders' particular branded colors involved as well, right? Because we want to make sure that our branded journey still continues even through the idea of a book, even through the idea of whatever talking tool that we're putting out there. You know, I just talk about talking tools, right? Whatever device that we have to be able to share with all of our audience, wherever they may be in this beautiful world of ours, we've got to make sure that that brand, that theme as well, stays congruent or stays consistent throughout each of our books, because it is super key and it is super important as well, especially when you're trying to build up your reputation. If you want to be known for a certain thing, you've got to make sure that that little item or that little nuance, whatever it is that you do, that characteristic that you have, stays consistent throughout each of your devices, whatever they may be. So think about that. So the second thing you want to think about is the idea of what's the bigger picture? Now, what do I mean by that? Now, I've kind of been sort of hinting at it just before as well when I was talking about in the first strategy, right? But the second thing you want to think about is the idea of the bigger picture. What is it that you actually see coming from this book? What is your objective coming from this book? Because when you get to handle that in literally just the cover, I know it's crazy, it's just the cover, right? But no, the cover actually is the intro into the rest of the book. You're setting the tone, you're setting the theme for the book. This is why it's super key and important. So don't think you can just get away with a really simple cover that literally just has a tiny little word in front of it and then it explains everything and that's it and then it's done. Now, if your book is about simplicity, fine, that's going to work super well for yourself. However, if it's not, then no, we need to showcase, and not only showcase, but equally explain just a tiny bit more, right? So how do we go about doing that? We think about not only what strategy number 1 is, but equally what this part is as well. What is your bigger picture? What is your objective? What is it you actually want to get from it? So when you understand what your theme is, you get to understand what is that message that you actually wanted to go ahead and deliver from your book. Now, obviously, there are so many different things and strategies that you actually do need to think about when you're actually creating your book. But when it comes to the cover, understanding what that bigger picture is will allow you to understand what the actual image should be for your cover as well. So for example, let's go back to the Queens in Business books as well. You'll notice that there is a constant that runs throughout each of those books. You see the journey of the lady, the queen that is in business. She starts from looking above her empire. Then she goes into the valley of her empire. And now she's getting ready to cross the mountains that then creates it almost mimics the idea of a different level, right? So now that's her new challenge that's ahead of her. So climbing those mountains, what's that's going to be for her? And the other books that will follow will literally carry on that theme. So think about what that could be for yourself, right? You don't necessarily have to have a character, but maybe it's a general theme that you're using. Maybe it's a general scenery that you're using, the progression of the scenery. Think about what that may be for yourself. If you're going to have a series of books, this is where the bigger picture really, really will help you out to understand where to start and equally where you actually want to continue and so forth, and what the potential end book is going to look like, right? Because when you get to do that, you get to understand and know how to take your customer, your reader, on a journey with you. Because remember, I always talk to you guys the idea of about a branded journey, and it is super key to help build your reputation. Remember this phrase and never ever forget it. And I've spoken about this before in a couple of my other videos. The idea of repetition equals reputation is super key to always remember, because it's something that won't be forgotten. When you think about big brands like Coca-Cola, when you think about Nike, the idea of just do it, right? Always Coca-Cola. When you think about McDonald's as well, I'm loving it. They have specific phrases for a very, very good reason, because they want to create that repetition within their customers' minds. They understand that. So what is it for yourself? How are you going to be able to make sure you have that repetitive factor so that people understand your brand or equally recognize your brand before you actually get to say the name of your brand? Now, obviously, that takes time to be able to build that kind of repetitiveness or that idea of reputation as well. However, if you start from right here, right now, you start building a better foundation for your brand. You start building the idea of longevity, and that's what we want to be able to do in order to be able to get to where we want to get to, the levels that we actually want to grow to, especially. So now, number 3, we want to make sure that we're actually talking about the idea of what the title is, right? So now, as much as we've got the theme set, we understand what our vision is for this book and so forth. What is your title? Does your title even match what your theme is about? Think about that. One really cool thing to think about, especially when it comes to the idea of putting your title together, do not do it at the beginning before you've even written your book. Don't do that. Write your book first, because you know what? The title that you actually started out with isn't potentially going to be the title that you will match what your story is about. So think about how you can make sure that not only do you resonate with what your theme is, not only do you resonate with what the bigger picture is, but equally make sure that you actually resonate with what that title is. So create your title at the end of writing, after you've written your book, because that's super key. And literally your title will match what it needs to match, when it needs to match it, and so forth. So folks, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you're keeping safe and well, as I said, and I hope you really got something out of this book as well. This book, in fact, this video, right? Go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel so you do not miss out on another one. Equally, remember to go ahead and download my guide that is super cool. You're going to be learning about 6 really amazing principles that will allow you to take your brand from being invisible to visible in front of the right key audience. So folks, go ahead and download that. And I will see you on the other side. Take care, guys.